Okay. So we just read Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson. So now we're just going to kind of like go back. Just right off the bat, did you have any questions? Like some of her word choices, some of her punctuation and capitalization and grammatical choices are a little out there and sort of different from maybe anything else you've read.
No, definitely.
So was there anything that really like struck you, like a question or word you didn't recognize?
I probably had like a good amount of questions. I guess like whenever I was reading it and like taking some notes on it, like a lot of them were kind of like just questions, like possibilities, like what might it be about and stuff like that. So as we're like going through it, I probably will have a good amount of questions. The rhyme scheme, I noticed, like kind of went away. Throughout, or like it was just really this like first one that had the rhyme scheme. I remember we talked about that last time, but I didn't really find it later on, so I don't know. And then some of like the capitalization as it went on was like kind of interesting.
So you talked a bit about like kind of how we did free writing, like a short free write. So what thoughts like immediately like came to mind, and what did you bring up during that free write?
So when I was thinking about like what like for my free writing, I was just thinking a lot about like she's like writing with death to some destination, and I wasn't quite sure like I guess what direction they're going. Like I wrote down like either I kind of saw it as like two different ways, like either they're going to like a place of rest or something like that. She's riding with death, or there could possibly even be like the other way around. So like life flashing before your eyes. It said like past the school and like at recess and stuff like that. Like definitely like the last paragraph, there might be some like symbolism to like I don't know, like it's kind of feels like advanced symbolism in that last paragraph. I'm not quite sure totally what is going on there, but just like somehow like the words there and the symbols like are the destination. So I guess that was kind of like what I was thinking about writing.
Well, I really like that you brought up the thought of kind of like the life flashing before your eyes, because I do think that's something she tries to bring up throughout the poem, like when she talks about passing the school where children are. And I think she plays off of like well-known motifs and like beliefs we have about death. So like a lot of times people say if they're in a near-death experience, their entire life flashes before their eyes. So she, I think, pulls from that, puts it in the text. So to us, it's like death is something we may recognize. So, and I also like that you kind of questioned and brought up the writing like in a carriage with death. And I think it's kind of significant that she is riding with death, not walking, not being like taken. Like I think that's a conscious choice. So could you think of maybe why it's riding in a carriage, or if that's maybe something you've ever seen in like myths or legends or beliefs about
death? I had
death?
something about like sort of like at the very beginning, she said she couldn't stop for death. So I thought like, we don't really want to stop for death. It's like we're kind of like afraid of death, or there's just like, why would we want to stop for death? But then like death stopped for her, so it's just like it's inevitable. Like death is gonna catch up to her, not like us gonna catch up to death. And then just like riding along with death, it's like she's not in control, or she's not she's not driving the carriage. She's just riding.
I think you're making really good points, and it feels like you're kind of thinking about how she's being intentional with what she's doing, which is a really helpful way to like look at this poem and a lot of poems by like Dickinson, as she's very precise about what she's doing. So you also brought up the rhyme scheme, or kind of like lack thereof. So what like thoughts do you have on that? Do you feel like this is the kind of poem that should be kind of orderly and rhyme schemed away? Do you think it doesn't matter? Like, what did you think about while you were free writing on that?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if it was intentional that like, or if it just so happened that like the first stanza kind of had those two words that rhyme or not. I mean, I guess if there was some symbol to it, maybe like, in this first paragraph, like she's not really writing, or this first stanza, she's not really like writing yet. So like, I don't know, maybe she it just might be some kind of like just difference between the stanzas. Like there's some kind of rhyme here, and then as she's in the carriage, there's like no rhyme
Yeah.
now. I don't know. They might be looking too into it, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think with poetry, and I think with this poem especially, I wouldn't worry about looking too much into it, because no matter how you look, you're always going to find something. And that's kind of the way like we process poetry too, is as a reader, we assume everything has a meaning and everything's intentional. Maybe the author wasn't necessarily thinking that, but now that it's in our hands, like we get to decide what
Okay.
everything means.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think a lot of good thoughts on that. Anything else, any big questions that came up for you? Any specific stanza that stood out for you, or line that you think is like especially notable?
I guess this like last one. Do you know like any of the like symbolism, or like I don't know? It's like I was really curious. Like I don't know some of those words.
Yeah.
Like gossamer and tippet and toll, and I just don't know. So those, I don't know. They're kind of weird.
So those-
It might not.
Definitely. I was gonna ask about that, because this is the stanza that trips me up sometimes, because I think it kind of dates itself here. Where up until maybe this line, this poem could have been written by like a modern day poet. But when it talks about gossamer, my gown, gossamer is like a type of fabric that's like very flowy, and it's almost kind of like, how wedding dresses kind of have like a, not opaque, but kind of a thinner like layer maybe that goes over the top. It's sort of like that. And then tippet again is like a clothing item, like very old fashioned, not something we have. And a tulle again is like a ballerina skirt is made of tulle. So yeah, all fabric choices. And I think, yeah, if we look at that maybe in what she's trying to convey, you can find more meaning in there, but it's hard to, like when you don't recognize a word.
I wasn't sure if it like had something to do with like again that like destination, like I said, might have been like funeral related or something, like did like those words might have had something to do with like a funeral, or like might have had something to do with a birth, or just like some kind of like
Yes.
life event that like,
Yeah, well, thinking life events with this poem is really good, because she's again like taking us back through life. So it's, when I read this, I think, what about my life would stand out, and where is it in here? So I really like your train of thought, and I agree, like even knowing like the barest detail about like what a word is can change an entire poem.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you have any other big thoughts, anything like that came up during reading?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any feedback?
I thought, I think like the free writing was like a really good idea. Like I really like free writing. Like whenever it's been used in class, it's been really helpful just to like, I don't know, sometimes I'll get like stuck on sentences and like not know what to write. So just like getting over that
Yeah.
and like just writing whatever, and then, fixing it from there. Like free writing always seems to be really helpful.
Yeah.
So I
For sure.
do like that activity a lot. Maybe like some like sort of structure to like the notes or something. I know we like covered that last week, so that's kind of it. And I remembered like some of the things that we did last week, but just like
Just
some kind of
more-
like prompt or something
Yeah,
like that
okay.
might have like
For sure.
helped a little bit. But yeah, I think it was really good.
All right, sweet.